our Lord and Savior out. My name is Elizabeth Banga. I belong to Passion of Christ Ministry. I have Passion for Christ. So I want to share with you the word of God. I'm going to share with you the topic today. It is talking about, my topic is today, I'm going to talk about it two in one. The initiation, a person can be initiated in two in one. A person can be abused in a strange way by being separated in two in one without himself or herself to know. The enemy can abuse a person by making him to be two in one, being initiated to be abused in a strange way or a strange world. A person can be initiated to be two in one and being used in a strange way, where no one can able to understand or discover unless you are born of God. Unless you are born of God, a person can be initiated people of God, and the enemy can make a person to be two in one without anyone to know in the family, or being abused by the devil. A soul of a person can be tormented or abused in the spiritual realm, in the dark world, without anyone to understand or recognize, unless you are born of God or you have the spirit of truth in you or in me. That's why I can discover or recognize that this person is not the real person, is just a photocopy. What is the meaning of two in one? Two in one means, people of God, you can see a person the way you can see me here. I look normal and I act normal to the physical, but in the spiritual realm, the inner man is being abused by the devil. The inner man is being tormented, is being used to work hard without anyone to know. Unless you are born of God, or unless you have the spirit of spirits or spirit of the living God, the spirit of the Most High God. That's why we can able to discover that this something is going wrong or something is not normal in this family or in the community or at the place of work or whatever, or to our children or our brothers and sisters, unless we have the spirit of truth or the spirit of the living God in us, unless we are born of God, so that we can able to find properly what is happening or what is going on to our children or to our brothers and sisters, even to ourselves. We can live like this, but our soul is being tormented in the secret. We live in the physical body, we look like we live, but in the spiritual, we live in the strange way. We are being used in the strange way. Unless we are born of God, unless we receive the spirit of truth, like the Bible says in John chapter 4 verse 24, that God is spirit. Those who worship God must worship God in spirit and in truth. If there is no spirit of truth, my brothers and sisters in the family, in the community, whatever, there's no way we can discover the lies of the devil. The Bible says we shall know the truth and the truth shall set us free. We can only discover the lies of the enemy if we worship God in spirit and in truth. Otherwise, we can't do anything. I'm going to talk about the story of Daniel in Babylon. What happened to Belshazzar, to King Belshazzar and Daniel? It was because King Belshazzar had a dream, which makes him to be pale and to look to be paralyzed. And it was because of the problem. It was the appointed time. Well, how can we discover this thing? How can we know if we don't have the spirit of truth in us? If we don't worship the true living God in us? If we don't have the spirit of spirits in us, if we don't have the spirit like the spirit which had Daniel in Babylon, which had Daniel and Shadrach and Meshach Abednego, that's why what makes Daniel not to worship the God of Belshazzar, it's because the spirit which had Daniel, it was the spirit of the Most High God. And Belshazzar the king was not worshiping the true living God. He was making himself to be God. He was telling people to worship him. He was worshiping the God of silvers and the God of whatever, the God of things of this world. But it came the appointed time when Daniel, the servant of the Most High God, found in Babylon. That's how the truth were discovered, that Belshazzar was not worshiping the true God. If it was not because of Daniel, nothing could be discovered in Babylon. And the appointed time came when the hand of God was right the wall and warning the king Belshazzar and telling him, mene teke peleza. It was because of the spirit which was in Daniel. When King Belshazzar was passing, he had a dream. He had a dream, and this dream, it make him to be fear. It make fear inside him. It make him to tremble, because it was the appointed time for the true living God to be known, the God of Daniel to be known. And God touched that king through the dream, and the king was furious, and the Bible explained he was furious. He looked pale. He had no power. He didn't know how to explain his dream. He was rich to the physical, but he was not rich in the spirit. It took Daniel, who had the spirit of true living God. The Bible says in Daniel chapter 5 verse 26 and 30, and the same Daniel from chapter 5 verse 11 to 12, when we read these verses, even from chapter 5 verse 7, the Bible says the king called out merchants. The king called out merchants and astrology diviner astrology who are working for that king, the workers, the big workers of Daniel, of that Belshazzar. But they didn't know how to interpret the dream their king had. It took the spirit of Daniel, the spirit of God was inside Daniel to come and interpret and review the mysterious which the king Belshazzar had. If it was not because of Daniel, who had the true living God, nothing could be discovered in Babylon. People could continue moving and worshiping the God who did not create the heaven and the earth. The Bible says they called the merchant the diviner. In verse 8, they could not read the writing. There was a writing on the wall. The writing, and this writing, it was the writing of warning. It was the writing of warning. People in the family, they can suffer witchcraft, wizard, premature death, sickness, strange sickness, whatever confusion, without discovering or knowing anything, unless it took only the person who worshiped God in spirit and in truth, like Daniel, to recognize or discover what is happening in the family and to bring solution. I want to tell you, people of God, it took only the spirit of truth which can help for people to able to solve big problems, because those astrologers and magicians, when their king Belshazzar called them, he called them to help them to interpret the dream. Then they say, we know Daniel, the servant of the Most High God, he used to interpret. He had the spirit of God inside him. He used to interpret the dreams, and his spirit used to solve the big problems of people. So the king called the judge Daniel, the chief King Belshazzar, and Belshazzar, the dream is meaning this, what the meaning of the dream is saying, your kingdom has come to an end. Your kingdom Belshazzar has come to an end. That is the meaning of the writing of the hand to the wall. When there's a spirit of God, no matter how the enemy can torture the family, no matter how witchcraft can play, sorceries, magicians, whatever sorcerers can able to sell the souls of our children or torment our souls, abuse our souls in the secret. When we just receive Jesus Christ as our personal Savior and begin to meditate upon the true salvation and the true word of God and the true blood of the Lamb, no matter how the enemy tries, it shall come to pass. The appointed time shall come to pass as it came to pass at the time of Daniel. Belshazzar was looking himself as the first and the last king, but God came to show him. He came to warn him that your power has come to an end. Your kingdom has come to an end. So I want to encourage you, brothers and sisters, whatever you are going through, whatever the enemy has bringing on you, you have to know that there is God in heaven. If you just begin to meditate upon true salvation and true living God, the problem will come to an end. The enemy will come to an end, because only God has a final say. He spoke a final say against this king Belshazzar by using Daniel to be shown in Babylon. But Daniel was not known. But because of this mysterious of the king, because of this warning of God, that's what brought Daniel to be known in Babylon. No matter how your salvation is being persecuted or being accused, or people they criticize you, one day